In this video, I'm going to look at how to create a branch within a simulation. A branch is where there are multiple paths through the simulation and the user can effectively choose which path to carry out. Now, to illustrate this, I'm going to use my S4 system and the Screen Maintenance Requests app, mainly because once a user goes into this, they have a choice of accept or reject. And that's really what I want to put as my branch in my simulation. Do they want to see how to accept or do they want to see how to reject? So I've already created my recording of this particular app. Don't worry if you'd never used that app. It's just an example to show you that there is a choice that the user makes. So I have this simulation that I've created already. Now the important thing is it contains both of those paths already. I'm going to play through this in practice mode just so you can see what's been recorded in there, and then we'll go into the mechanics of how to create that branch. So I'm going to play this back. Here's my first screen where I start the playback, and then I click the correct tile. On here I enter my notification number, click go. So far, all of this is common to both paths. And then on this screen, this is where they get to make the choice of accept or reject. So as I say, I've got all of it recorded in a single simulation. That's important. You could have recorded it as two separate simulations and then copied the steps to merge them. But what I've done here, I've basically recorded the whole thing in one simulation. So here we have the accept path first. So you can click on the accept button, and then you get a confirmation that it's been accepted, close. Back at this screen here, this looks common to both paths, but it's not because the subphase is actually different here. So this one we're going through accepted, and I click here to go back to the home screen. Now I've got the reject path immediately following that. So here the user would click on reject, and then they have to select a reason for that, confirm the rejection. Confirmation messages again, this time saying it's rejected, close. We get this screen, again, it's slightly different because it says rejected. And then the common screen to both of those paths is this one that we come back to, which I've called finish up. Okay, so that's where those two paths converge again. So, and that's basically the end of my simulation. I've got my close page where I can exit and replay it if I need to. So let's go and look at how that looks in SAP Enable now. So here is my recording, and if I just step through that, we've got step 2, 3, 4 are common to both paths. At step 5, this is where currently we've got accept the maintenance request, and steps 5, 6, and 7 are part of one path, the accept path, but then starting from step 8, we've got the reject, and then 8 all the way through to effectively 13 are part of the reject path. And that's where I want to have my split. So let's see how we do that. I'm going to go all the way back to where I've got my accept here in step 5, and I need to have both of those actions on the same step. So I want my accept and reject both here. So I'm going to go down to step 8 where I've got my reject action, where they click on the reject, and I'm just going to drag that up to the same step that's got the accept in it. And I'm just going to drop it there. So now I have two actions, both in step 5, one for accept and one for reject. That's the start of where we're going to have our branch. Now my step 8 is empty because I dragged that action out of it. So I'm just going to delete that step. Now back up at step 5, I always like to give meaningful titles to everything so I can see where we are. Here I'm just going to change this to accept or reject, just so I'm clear what that step is doing. Okay, now for the magic. This is where I want to put in my branch to let the user choose one of these two things. So with that step selected, I'm going to go to Insert, Insert Special Macro, Create Branch. And what that will do is it will take each of the actions in there as basically the start point of a branch. And it says, okay, if they select accept, and it's pulling that text in from here, which is actually the object name, where do you want them to go to? And when they accept reject, where do you want them to go to? And this is the step that they continue from. So if they click the accept button here, I want to continue with step 6, which is review the confirmation messages there. So in here, I will select step 6, review the confirmation messages. And then the other one, the reject, this is where I want them to basically go to what's now step 8 for select the reason for rejection, and basically bypass step 6 and 7, which are only for accept. So in here, I'm going to go to select the reason for rejection on step 8. So I select where each path starts for each of those actions and then click OK. And now you can see what I have is I have a branch in here. It automatically wraps those around both of these actions. I've got a branch begin and a branch end. You'll also notice it's given me a new bubble in here. This is actually just taking the text from the relevant action. So my accept here was if you want to accept the maintenance request and release, blah, blah, blah. And the reject one has if you want to reject. And it basically puts both of those in a new bubble. You can change the bubble style. This isn't using my default in here. If I go to the branch end, this is where I can control the bubble. This is defaulting to one that I don't like. So I'm going to convert it back to my style for the demo bubble and for the practice bubble. Do watch out for that. But now you can see that I've basically got exactly that same text in there. But here I'm just going to resize that a bit and drop that somewhere more meaningful here so it's close to these there. And these are my options, and we'll see what that looks like in playback in a minute. Now over here, interestingly, where it's put that branch, at the end of each of these actions, I've got this little orange icon which says that this is going to jump to somewhere else. And handily, when I hover over that, it will highlight the step that it's jumping to. So here, for example, let me scooch up slightly. Here on the accept, if I highlight over that, it's going to highlight step 6 for me. You see that's highlighting as I go over it. And this one here, when I hover over this, the reject, it shows me where that's going to jump to. So that's a nice little indicator you've got there. So far so good. If they select accept, it's going to go to step 6, then step 7, and then it's basically going to fall through to step 8. So which we don't want. We want it at the end of the accept, step 6 and 7, to branch around all of the reject stuff and go straight to finish up. Because all of these steps up to step 12 are part of the reject. That's the other branch that we don't want to carry out. So there's a few different ways that we can do this, but the cleanest or most visually obvious way I can do it is immediately after this, where they click to go back to the home screen, I'm just going to put in here, insert special macro, jump to step. And I'm going to say that I want to jump to step 13, which is my finish up. Okay, and I can choose which modes to do this in, but I want to do it in all modes in this case. So click OK. And now this has a similar thing. It has that icon on the end of it to say you're going to jump to somewhere else. And in this case, finish up, you can see on the tooltip. So again, I'll give this a meaningful name in here. This name here has just got the macro ID in it, but I'm going to change that to say that this is branch around reject. Okay. So what's going to happen here, if they select accept, they'll go step 6, step 7. At the end of step 7, they'll jump all the way to finish up, which is way down here. And if they choose reject here, it's going to continue with step 8. So it's automatically going to miss out 6 and 7. It's going to go through 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we're done. And that's it. That is now our branch that's been put in there very effectively. So now let's look at how that's going to work during playback. Start playback again. As before, screen maintenance requests, enter the request number, click go, select the request, and here's my branch. If you want to accept maintenance requests, click accept, or if you want to reject it, click reject. And both of these, you can see as I hover the cursor over them, it turns into the little hand symbol. Both of these are active. So for here, I will say I want to accept, and then it gives me the confirmation messages for accepted, close that, and then from here where I see subphase accepted, I can click to go to the home screen, and then I'm on finish up. and I'm out of this. So continue to finish that, and I'm done. So that is the accept. Now let's go look at the request. I'm just going to replay this simulation. Same thing. First few steps are exactly the same. And now when we get to here, exactly the same message because it's the same screen. And here I click reject. And now I've got to select my reason. It's bypass the accept stuff. Select the reason, confirm that. Confirmation messages, return to the home screen, and we're back to finish up again. So that works perfectly. Of course, you could argue, do you want to teach the users one way or the other? Generally, you'd want them to be able to go through both. But if you think about this from when you're providing this as in-app help as well, having that simulation maybe in concurrent mode, then this can guide them through whichever way they want to work in the real life application. So now let's go and look at that same thing in demo mode, because there's a couple of caveats I want to show you with that. So I'm going to go back to the start, I'm going to edit demo mode. I've still got my branch in here. If I go and look at that, this is my branch. Looks slightly different, but more or less the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that here. I'm just going to leave that in the middle of the screen for obvious reasons we'll see in a minute. Okay, so I'll leave that there, and I'm going to start playback in demo mode now. So this is all, I like my demo modes to be completely hands-off, so I don't want to do anything. It should auto-advance, obviously once I've started playback. So I'll start playback, and now I'm not touching the screen. It's going to go through in demo mode. It's going to click on that. It's going to enter my number for me. This is all automatic. Click go. Once that's done, it's going to go and select that request. And then it's going to sit here forever until the user makes a choice. Okay? And the choice here is what do you want to see? Okay, and I should probably change this text slightly to say, if you want to see how to accept, if you want to see how to reject. The user has to select one of these. In the bubble, this is a hyperlink that's basically going to show that particular path. So I probably shouldn't even say on here, click on the green accept button. I should just have a text of, if you want to see this, click here. Or if you want to see reject, click here. Because although it looks like the area is active here, clicking on it will not do anything. You can only select one of these. So I will select this here. I will select the accept one, click on that, and now it goes back to automatic again. So it shows how to click accept, and then it goes down to here, and it will click on the close button and then go back to the home screen. So the user basically has to make a choice of those two things. Now I said it will sit there forever. That's not strictly true. If I go back to the simulation and go and look at that branch end, that has on it a display duration for demo mode. Just like every other bubble in demo mode has a duration. And it defaults to -1, which is forever. But I could set this to say 10 seconds. And what will happen is if the user doesn't make a choice within 10 seconds, it will basically take this first action here. So it will then show them the accept and then carrying on. So that's one thing to watch out for there. And that's pretty much it. That is how a branch works. Just make sure you have both branches in the same simulation, put the actions in the same step, and then insert the branch. If you decide you don't want that, you can always come to here and remove branch. If you want to change where these point to, you can do that easily enough as well. Just select edit branch, and then it will put you back to here, and you can choose different ones in there. Okay, that's it. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please subscribe to the channel.